Jesus Christ Superstar is more than just a rock opera. It's a groundbreaking and controversial musical that redefined how the world views biblical storytelling through modern music. Written by composer Andrew Lloyd Webber and lyricist Tim Rice, this 1970s production dared to bring the story of Jesus Christ to life in a bold, emotional, and often provocative way. Unlike traditional portrayals of Jesus, Jesus Christ Superstar presents him as a deeply human character, filled with emotion, doubt, strength, and vulnerability. The musical takes audiences on a journey through the final days of Jesus' life, seen largely through the eyes of Judas Iscariot, his disciple who ultimately betrays him. This perspective shift adds layers of moral complexity and forces viewers to examine the motives, politics, and emotions behind one of the most powerful spiritual stories ever told. Set against a backdrop of 1970s rock music, Jesus Christ Superstar breaks away from sacred tradition by removing the divine miracles and heavenly imagery often associated with Christ's story. Instead, it emphasizes his human experiences, his fear of death, the weight of his mission, his strained relationship with Judas, and the love and confusion expressed by Mary Magdalene. Songs like Gethsemane show Jesus in emotional agony, pleading with God to take away his suffering. I have changed. I'm not as sure as when we started. These lyrics strike deeply with anyone who has ever wrestled with fear or doubt. In this way, Jesus is not portrayed as a distant figure of unreachable divinity, but as a man who genuinely feels the crushing responsibility of the world on his shoulders. What makes Jesus Christ Superstar so powerful is its ability to humanize religious figures without stripping them of their influence. Judas, traditionally the villain, is painted with empathy. His inner turmoil, his love for Jesus, and his fear that their movement is becoming dangerous make him a tragic figure rather than a simple traitor. His solo, Heaven on Their Minds, is filled with raw emotion and a deep sense of conflict. This nuanced portrayal compels audiences to think deeply about loyalty, disillusionment, and the fine line between love and betrayal. Mary Magdalene, too, is given emotional depth in songs like I Don't Know How to Love Him, expressing confusion over her feelings for Jesus and the way he challenges her view of love and intimacy. These emotional complexities elevate the musical into a modern-day reflection on faith, humanity, and sacrifice. The music of Jesus Christ Superstar is its heartbeat, with explosive rock anthems, gentle ballads, and climactic choral arrangements. The score captures the emotional roller coaster of Christ's final days. It brings ancient events into the language of the modern world, not just lyrically, but spiritually. Whether it's the mocking tone of King Herod's song or the dark intensity of the Last Supper, every note carries dramatic tension and emotional depth. This musical energy brings a sense of urgency and relatability to the gospel narrative, drawing in even those who may not identify with traditional religious stories. It allows them to feel the power of Jesus' story without needing to subscribe to a specific faith. It is inclusive and emotional, not didactic. However, the musical was not without its controversies. Many Christian groups were outraged by the depiction of Jesus as a flawed and uncertain man, and by the omission of the resurrection in the original ending. The musical ends with Jesus' crucifixion, a powerful silence that forces audiences to sit with the cost of sacrifice rather than be comforted by resurrection. Yet for others, this is precisely what makes the show so compelling. It asks audiences to confront the pain and loss at the heart of the story, rather than fast forward to redemption. By focusing on the human suffering of Jesus, the production reveals the depth of his sacrifice in a more intimate and visceral way. Jesus Christ Superstar has left an indelible mark on both the world of theater and the way people view religious figures. It was one of the first rock operas to gain mainstream popularity and paved the way for a new genre of musical storytelling. Over the decades, the show has been revived on Broadway, adapted for film and televised live, each time resonating with new generations. The themes of love, doubt, sacrifice, Political tension and human frailty are timeless. In a world where people often feel disconnected from religion or seek a deeper, more emotional spiritual experience, Jesus Christ Superstar meets that yearning by presenting the story of Jesus in a profoundly relatable and human light. In conclusion, Jesus Christ Superstar is not just a musical, it's a mirror. It reflects our questions about faith, leadership, friendship, betrayal, and destiny. It challenges the traditional way Jesus is often portrayed, not to dishonor him, but to bring his story closer to the hearts of modern people. By focusing on emotion, music, and humanity, it shows us a Christ who feels, struggles, and sacrifices. A Christ we can connect with, cry with, and ultimately admire, not just for his divine power, but for his human courage. Whether you are a believer or not, Jesus Christ Superstar forces you to pause and reflect on the cost of love, the price of truth, and the meaning of sacrifice. In doing so, it accomplishes something truly divine. It brings Jesus closer to the people,